Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining our April monthly construction and traffic impacts webinar today. We really appreciate you taking the time. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Wendy Thompson and I'm part of the Streetcar team. My job is to keep you all in the loop about what's happening with the Streetcar project, especially when it might affect your daily commute or your neighborhood. I want to make sure you have the info you need and that you know you can reach out to me if you have any concerns. I'd like to introduce you to the people who will be sharing information and answering your questions today. We have Steve Jensen, Deputy Chief of Staff for Economic Development in the Mayor's Office and Omaha Streetcar Board member. Megan Walter, MUD Customer Engagement Manager. Mike True, Omaha Public Works Department and the Streetcar Project Manager. And Steve Rue, Omaha Public Works Department, Capital Construction and Street Maintenance Engineer. And now I'd like to turn it over to Steve Jensen.
Thanks, Wendy. So today we're going to cover the following items on the agenda. You can see them on the screen. We're going to talk a little bit about work zone safety reminders. We'll go over the schedule. We'll talk about the MUD gas relocation work, the work on the vehicle maintenance facility, the West utility package work, I-480 bridges, business support, and construction communication. For those of you who are on the call, if you have a question, make sure you put that into the Q&A option on the webinar, and we'll be sure and answer those questions later. So work zone safety reminders. This is something that is increasingly important. Obviously, we're going to try and keep this corridor under operating with traffic while we're under construction. There are a couple of spots where we've got to do the complete shutdown, but because we have that safety concern about the traffic moving through while construction's going on, I want to talk a little bit about safety on this call. So for safety alert, be sure to avoid distractions like cell phones, eating and drinking, talking to passengers, turn down the radio and really try to pay attention to what's going on in the area. Where we do have detours posted, especially for wayfinding and pedestrians, bicycle, and other traffic, be sure and follow those detours. It'll help people find their way through. Stay out of the work zones. Don't walk, bike, drive, cut through, park, and so forth in those work zones. So plan ahead and be patient. Be conscious of and courteous of other drivers and construction workers in the area. Construction schedule, we've talked about this before. Construction's wrapping up on Mecca Lot A with the utility and paving work. Landscaping will begin soon. Mike will cover some of this along with the vehicle maintenance facility discussion. Utilities West, Turner Boulevard 40th, works continuing. Steve Rue will cover this in more detail. Interstate bridges, work continues on the Harney Street Bridge. Again, Steve will cover where things stand there. Sampson Construction is gearing up to begin work on the vehicle maintenance facility. Mike True will discuss that. Utility packages for number 2 for I-480 to 8th Street. Work will be put out to bid in the spring, and work will begin in June, completed in late December 26. Turner Boulevard sewer improvement. This work will be put out to bid later in the spring. Work scheduled to run from later in 2025 through 2026. Mainline construction, we're meeting today with Kiewit on that schedule. We'll be able to provide more information on that soon. Work will begin in early 26, run into through 27. MUD gas relocation work will continue through 2026. Megan will talk about that work that's underway today. And then ongoing communication fiber utility work will run through the same period, be coordinated with the other work. Wendy can cover maybe the latest plan there. So with that, we'll turn it over to Megan to discuss MUD work.
Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone. MUD currently has crews working in Farnham at 9th Street and along Harney from 10th to 14th Street. Our crew is boring in a new gas main at 9th and Farnham, labeled as 5 on this slide. Once this work is completed, the crew will move to 8th and Farnham, where the excavation will need to be open cut due to the size of the 16-inch gas main, which will require temporarily closing Farnham Street. We anticipate this closure could take place within the next week. During this closure, traffic will not be able to turn west onto Farnham from 8th. Following this, we will perform 2 connections in Farnham Street, one on 8th and one at 9th. These connections will be done simultaneously by 2 different crews to minimize disruption. We will coordinate with customers to schedule the gas shutdown for a time that works best for everyone, ensuring minimal impact. Please be aware the current Farnham excavations are very close to garage entrances. So for everyone's safety, we ask that you use extreme caution when driving in the area. So for phase 6, MED is currently performing this work on the south side of Harney between 10th and 14th Street. The installation crew is focused on installing new gas main from 12th to 14th, including potholing to locate existing underground utilities and obstacles, as well as boring in the new main. We will have a separate crew working on running gas services. MED is exploring the possibility of relocating some gas services off of Harney and connecting them to the side streets or alleys. This will result in additional excavations and temporary restrictions in the area. Customers can expect service work to begin soon, which will include a short temporary gas service interruption for each service affected. We will communicate that at the time. Remember, all this work is weather dependent, so there may be delays or changes to the schedule due to weather conditions. We appreciate your understanding, and we will keep all impacted customers informed of any significant updates. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Megan. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mike True to discuss some vehicle maintenance facility. Then he'll turn it over to Steve Rue to discuss the West Utility work and the I-480 bridges. Mike?
Thank you, Steve. So also touching on this, as Steve had mentioned before, the Mecca Lot A work that's going on in the area is wrapping up. This is the work that exists on the south end of the CHI Center. There's a new entrance drive and a lot of the utilities that will eventually feed this vehicle maintenance facility were installed prior to, so that way we can have a better separation between ourselves, the CHI, who will also be doing some upgrades in this area to that facility. Vehicle maintenance facility itself, the middle of this month, sometime between in and around April 20th, you should start to see, if you're in the area, the Sampson Construction be on site. They will they'll have a crane out there, and they're going to start doing some of the foundation work, so that way the be coming out of the ground. One of the first items is there's a fairly significant power infrastructure that has to be taken care of. And right now it's still slated to be around Q1 of 2027 when this will all be wrapped up. And what's the next piece?
Me.
There's Steve Rue.
Yes, I got you. Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So I'm going to go over the West Utilities package first, and then we'll touch on the bridges. So West Utilities package is continuing. As we've discussed in previous webinars, so we are still westbound only on Farnham now from Turner to 33rd. So last month we were closed, full closure, 36th to 37th. That work has been completed. We have now gone to a full closure, 33rd to 34th Street, as you can see here. So all these businesses at Turner, from Turner to 33rd, still maintaining pedestrian access both sides of the street. So you can still access all those businesses. The same parking restrictions that have been there previously. These parking garages on either side of Farnham here are available. I believe we've confirmed 2-hour free parking for those. So you can park there. You can still get to these businesses here. We're showing the detour routes to get around this closure here. And we're expecting this work to continue for about 3 weeks. So we can go to the next one and keep talking about it. So yeah, 36th to 37th Street, that was work completed since our last webinar. Everything's open up there. Traffic's open both ways up there. You can access all those businesses. We've moved the closure over here, 33rd to 34th. We are working on some rebuilding some sewer manholes that are very deep. So the construction here just does not allow for us to maintain traffic at this time. The safety, OSHA regulations, the depth of the excavations, the equipment that's required, there's just not a reasonable way that would be safe for the workers there to maintain traffic here. So full closure here expected for the next 3 weeks. So again, you can kind of see these detours, 33rd to Dewey, coming back the other way, you can utilize Harney. And hopefully in the next 3 weeks here, this will be complete and we'll continue on with the project. So here's this next slide, some additional work that's been completed with a little bit that's still going on. We're still working with OPPD to relocate some power lines, some underground power utility facilities. They're out here between 35th and 37th. So 37th Street is still closed through the 7th. This date's still good. So this work should be wrapping up here the 7th. Should see 37th Street getting open back up here. This other work here, we had the work in the alley behind, this work in front. There may be some additional power work that needs to be done at 35th and 36th in the future, but currently this is open. So just be aware as you're in this area in the next month or so that there will be some closures here as we continue to finish up these facility relocations. I know this alley back here, 36th to 37th was closed, that's open again. So you can return to utilizing this area closer to normal, closer to how it was previously. So looking ahead, looking into the phase 2 of this package here, we're anticipating starting late May with this. That'll run through September. So if you recall from the first webinar in January, each phase of this package is about 4 months. We're looking at the different lane restrictions that are going to go on here. So again, we'll be westbound only, 33rd to 38th. Very, very similar to how we started this phase, similar to how we will proceed through most of this package here. This will continue with the water main work, duct bank installation that we're doing, and a significant amount of sewer lining, relining a lot of the sewers that are down there just to maintain their life through the streetcar that's going on there. So we've completed the full closures for phase 1 as highlighted here. And we've completed the power duct bank work that's back in the alley, as I just mentioned. So for phase 2 on this next slide, we're kind of showing what the traffic layout's going to look like for this. So again, you'll be westbound here in this outside lane. Work will maintain kind of in the middle over into parking. Just be aware as you move in through the area, once we get into this, again, this should be like late May going through the summer. Just again, the same thing Steve mentioned at the beginning of this, watch for signage, be alert when you're moving through the area, watch for workers. You know, we just want to be safe as we continue this work. Moving on to the bridges. So as we mentioned last month, you know, the bridge at Harney came down back in February. That was great. So we're working on construction of the new bridge. So right now Hawkins is almost complete with driving pile at abutment 1. We are, if you've been on I-480 at all in the last couple of weeks, you've seen they are out there working on the pier in the middle of 480 there. So there's some traffic restrictions on 480. They are continuing with excavation for that, and they should be driving pile on that shortly. And they are setting up or driving pile over here for abutment 2 on the 28th Street side. So that work, the pile driving work, should continue through the beginning of May, at which point then we'll start with pier construction, abutment construction, moving on to deck construction. That project is going great. It's on schedule. Things are moving really well. So everything we've kind of talked about in previous months still holds true with that. And then here we're still showing those detours. Park Ave to Douglas, 29th Street to Leavenworth are acceptable detours to get around this bridge that's out.
Thanks, Steve. So we've talked previously about many of the actions that we're taking to help businesses during this construction period. We understand the difficulties that work can cause, but there are a number of things that we are doing to help during the period. So I'll go through kind of a quick list. I know we've talked about some of these before. Overall communications on the OSA website, omahastreetcar.org. You can find construction updates, interactive map that shows up-to-date information in the area, frequently asked questions. I think Wendy will cover some of this again in a minute. We also give the weekly construction update email newsletters. We have these webinars that we do once a month. And so if you have any ongoing questions in between times, you can always talk to Wendy and she'll help you with the answers. From an accessibility standpoint, we've tried to limit this work as much as possible to 3 to 5 block segments for 3 to 4 month periods, trying to minimize the work so that during those periods when work is not going on in an area, things are kind of back to normal. In the construction zones, we're working to maintain that one-way westbound traffic at all times. We do have these 2 closures. Steve just talked about the latest one. Once those are done, we'll be able to maintain that one-way westbound traffic. Want to make sure that sidewalks are accessible to the businesses at all time. Also want to make sure it's possible to get deliveries and be able to coordinate that for deliveries. Outside the construction zones, as I said, we'll maintain as much as possible the 2-way travel, all the parking and so forth when construction's not going on in a particular area. And we also try to provide this directional traffic signage and also pedestrian directional signs along the whole route. As far as parking is concerned, we're maintaining access to all the off-street parking facilities in the construction zones, maintain unobstructed on-street parking outside the construction zones. As work continues in Midtown, the contractors made an effort to leave some of the on-street parking open when they can. The parking division is continuing to work with their partners in the area to open area parking that is used by businesses, companies during the day to make those stalls available at night and on the weekend. We've also leased property on the northeast corner of 40th and Harney. I think that's going to be on the planning board this afternoon to be able to do a temporary parking lot there. We're also going to be providing 2 free hours of parking in the Blackstone garage during this construction period. As far as business promotion, we've added business advertising and support signage. We've got wayfinding signage installed in Blackstone, Midtown Crossing, and so forth, banners and storefront window posters. And we're doing some business promotion and advertising where we can in the Streetcar newsletter. So there are a number of things that we're trying to do. We've got something that we think will be very helpful that we should be able to announce later this month for the businesses in the corridor. And we're continuing to work on other ideas as we can with our partners in the area. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Wendy, and Wendy will cover some communications. Wendy?
Thank you, Steve. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, or maybe you're new to these webinars, we've started doing these monthly webinars first Wednesday of every month at noon. We understand this time does not work for everyone, which is why we record these sessions and post them on our website. You will need to register each time to receive a new link each month. If you've registered for this one or any of our past webinars, we'll send you an email reminder before the next webinar to remind you to sign up. Even if you can't attend live, fill out the form and submit any construction and traffic questions you have anyway, so we can address them on the webinar and you can watch it later. Next month, we plan to do a deep dive into the upcoming work for the East Utilities package and what you can expect before construction begins on that project this summer. So as you can all agree, this project is incredibly complex, and we're committed to keeping you informed every step of the way. To ensure you have access to clear and timely information, we've implemented several key tools. First, we're sending out weekly email construction updates as shown. These emails will summarize all the key work areas, provide project updates, and highlight any important milestones. To receive these weekly updates directly in your inbox, please sign up on our website. We encourage everyone to sign up so you're always up to date. Next, we've developed a GIS-driven interactive map. This tool allows you to zoom into your specific neighborhood, workplace, or any area of interest to see exactly how the project might affect your daily life. The map is updated frequently, ensuring you have access to the latest and most accurate information. If you know someone who might have questions about this project, please share this information with them. Encourage them to sign up for our email updates or attend our future webinars. We are here to help everyone navigate this project. Please ask questions, utilize our resources, and stay informed. Finally, if you have immediate concerns or would like more information from the project team, please contact me by phone or email. Now let's begin the Q&A session with questions that were sent in but haven't been answered yet as we went through our presentation. Please continue to add questions about the construction and traffic impacts to the Q&A box. So Steve Rue, let's begin with the first question about construction noise and why the construction noise has to start at 7:30 a.m. instead of later.
So most of the noise that we get comments about is the pile driving that's going on. I have watched an unfortunate amount of pile being driven in my life. It is very loud. So right now, Hawkins, just like any other contractor, any other project we have, they're held to the City of Omaha noise ordinance as far as when they can start work and start making noise, which allows them to start at 7:30. I will say that, they have another month of this to go. They are working very efficiently. They're working in all 3 sites at the same time as of right now, trying to keep the time span overall that this needs to occur as short as possible. But we do need to allow them to work to the extent of their contract and what our ordinances allow. And, really, I have a lot of faith that they are pushing as fast as possible to get through this. The pile driving is usually what we get most complaints about.
Thank you. Steve Jensen, can you talk about what the status of the parking garages in Midtown Crossing area are? Specifically, is parking free during the construction period?
Yeah, and the parking garages are not yet owned by the city of Omaha, so they are still owned by Mutual and the folks at Midtown Crossing. It's our understanding that that they do allow 2 hours of free parking in those garages, and so as far as I know, that's continuing. I've been gone for a few days, and so Wendy, I don't know if you have any other information, but that's the last information I had before I was gone.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Mike, can you address the Farnham Street and Harney Street construction as it relates to changes to metropolitan area transit schedules, especially routes 30 and 15, and if temporary stops were added or will replace previous permanent stops during the phases as necessary?
Sure. So this was coordinated with, pardon me, with Metro. They have moved some of their lines and rerouted them temporarily. They will continue to assess what need. Sorry, I'm sorry. They will continue to assess what needs and what they're seeing in ridership and how they move around. I have an email. I can try to get you an exact response. Just one second from them. So from routes 15 eastbound and 30 southbound have both been detoured since February. And this is about 3 stops. They have added some temporary stops along the detour. You can go to their website for anything additional information on where those are located. And temporary stops can also be found there. It's myride.ometro.com/news. And you can also sign up for push alerts to receive any of these notifications. The schedules on the routes should not have changed, just simply the locations of stops. And that's what we know so far. And that will continue to be monitored by Metro and changed as needed. And we do coordinate with them as well to let them know where we're going to be doing construction.
Thank you. Our next question was about some messaging that we could share to the condominium community and real estate agents about the long-term positive aspects of the streetcar project. And they also asked if we had any marketing and communication projects or products available. So we are working on getting the materials gathered for this person, and I'll be responding to them after our webinar. But all of that material will be put on the website for anyone to look at. Steve Jensen, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's good. I mean, there are a number of studies that were done back when streetcars first came out to look at the impact of value, changing land use patterns and changing the value of property along the streetcar corridors. Those studies now are a little dated. They go back to the 2010 time frame, some a few studies before that and a few studies after that. So later you get more anecdotal evidence from streetcars being built in different cities, but that trend is clear and it's still there. The streetcars do increase the property values along the route. As far as businesses are concerned, some of the best some of the best information on that comes from our friends down in Kansas City. In fact, just recently we posted a video of one of the business owners along the route of the Kansas City streetcar, who was an opponent to the streetcar to begin with, because he felt it was hurting his business. He will tell you he's one of the biggest proponents for the streetcar. He's seen a huge increase in his business. It's a men's clothing store. He's also seen a change in the age of visitors, and so they've changed their clothing line so that it accommodates a younger customer that they didn't have before. So there's a lot of that kind of information that's out there, and as Wendy said, we'll try and get that information posted so that people locally can see what the impact has been on businesses in other places.
Thank you, Steve. Our final question, unless we get any more sent in, Mike, when is the first CAF vehicle going to arrive? Does Omaha have an inspector following the build in the manufacturing facility, and will a pilot vehicle precede the full delivery?
So the first CAF vehicle is scheduled to arrive around Q1 of 2027. We're going to say late January, early February. We have a target date, but it's still far enough out with shipping, and there's some international play now with tariffs and a few other things that we'll see as we get closer to it. We intend to have a more specific time we can drill down. As far as inspections, we do have on-site inspections over in Spain. We have that under contract, and periodically our PM in charge of vehicles has gone over and started to do some of the first article inspections with that company, and also we have frequent coordination calls with CAF. As far as a pilot vehicle, I'm not entirely certain if they mean like a first article to show people, or not. That one I'd have to get a little clarification on, but there won't be any. There's no vehicle being manufactured just as a display model. What you will see as we go through testing and integration. So once these vehicles arrive, they get inspected down at the new vehicle maintenance facility. Then they will actually have to go through CAF will drive them on the circuit, make sure that they're working, and then we have to go through an actual certification and testing to be allowed to use them for public transit. So you will see some vehicles moving around. Those aren't a pilot. Those aren't necessarily for display. They'll be the actual vehicles, if that answers the question.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you all for,
I was just
sorry,
going to
go
add
ahead.
one more thing to that. I think, as far as those vehicles, as Mike was saying, I think it's important to understand as they come in and they go through that process, and then they go through a burn-in, and when you've got 6 vehicles, it'll just take time before each one comes in, and then each one will be run separately and be tested and so forth. So it'll take several months from the time the first car arrives until all the cars have come in and have gone through the testing before we could begin operation.
Thank you. And thank you all for your great questions. We appreciate you attending, and we hope you join us next month to learn more about construction and traffic impacts. Thank you.